Hey. Okay, the Mythra video is finally here. I know I've been in this video up like all last week and finally it's here. But before we actually start, I wanna just like a little message, I guess. Before we start that, y'all remember when YouTube actually had DMs and you could like DM people through YouTube a couple years ago? Yeah, I know that shit was weird. I don't know why they got rid of it, but you used to be able to like DM people on YouTube. So like just imagine, I actually used to talk to some of my friends through YouTube DMs. Like just imagine, like instead of someone asking for your snap, they're like, hey yo, let me get your YouTube channel. Cause you're like, oh, bet I'ma DM you through YouTube. Like what kind of fuck shit is that? But YouTube DMs were wild. I don't know why they took them away, but I bet, they had some people had some wild shit up in YouTube DMs. But since there's a lack of YouTube DMs now, I just wanted to give like a little message, I guess, to, one of my very faithful viewers, Serenity Writer. I know they've been asking me over and over again when I'm going to finish the Xenosaga playthrough, and I keep telling them, I'm gonna finish it soon, it's coming soon, alright, I'm gonna finish it before Xenoblade 3, all this and that. And then I even told them it was supposed to come out yesterday. Well, y'all will be seeing this after midnight, so Friday, I said, oh, I'm finishing Xenosaga on Friday, and yeah, so I said look forward to that. And then as y'all can see, there was no Xenosaga on Friday. I had to change the plans. I wasn't able to record that day, but I can guarantee you 100% for sure, since y'all will be seeing this today, I will be finishing Xenosaga. Okay, I'm at the very end of the game. I don't know why I put it off once I'm so close to finishing it, but I will finish and upload the rest of Xenosaga 1 playthrough today. I don't know what time, but god damn it, it'll be out. Alright, so Serenity, you'll have to wait for much longer. Alright, but now on to the actual video. This video, as you saw by the title, I think Mythra might actually be in Xenoblade 3, and she could play a very a larger role in the game than we actually thought. So, and no, this video is not just me hoping Mythra comes back, because I really like her, because they're, a lot of people really like Mythra, and some of us more so than others. All right, and I am us. All right, I love Mythra. Saw my last video, you'd understand, but like recently, my appreciation and love for Mythra has skyrocketed. So I really do want to see Mythra in this video, or in this game, but there might be, I mean, it's weird because there's kinda evidence to support that she is coming back, but then I debunk it immediately after that. Well, I don't know, technically it may not even be a debunk. See, I don't even know. But then I also go into why she still could come back, but related to something else. It's really confusing, but y'all will understand. Get there. But naturally, this video will contain spoilers for Xenoblade 1, 2, Torna, and actually 3 as well, surprisingly. Now, the spoilers for Xenoblade 3, I'm not gonna say what it is, alright? Don't worry. I'm not gonna tell you what it is, but I'm kinda gonna tell you why it's spoilers. The very first cutscene of the game. Again, I'm not telling you exactly what it is, because I don't want to spoil it. But the very first cutscene of the entire game, like right when you press new game and start in, the very first cutscene, a lot of people consider that very big spoilers, and it actually, that's the reason why this video even exists. I could explain why Mythra is returning. And it also explains to us something we've all been wondering since the very first trailer way back in February. So I don't want to, spoil any of that. So if y'all don't want to be spoiled on anything from Xenoblade 1, 2, Torna, or 3, then y'all know this is your chance to, you know, leave or just mute the video and, you know, give your boy some watch time. All right, I need the watch time. But now, you know, spoiler warning: if you don't want to be spoiled, leave right now. And now that that's out of the way, before I actually explain how Mythra could actually return in Xenoblade 3 and why she might be a big part of Xenoblade 3, let me give you a little backstory, you know, to Mythra and how she kind of is, you know, very, very important to the overall Xenoblade story. Mythra is a very important part of Xenoblade 1 and 2, and if you think about it, and you know, this will make sense as I explain it, but Mythra is kind of the reason why Xenoblade 2 and to an extent Torna even happened. So if it weren't for Mythra, Xenoblade 2 and Torna, kinda Torna, most likely never would have even happened. So like the story of Xenoblade 2 would never, probably would have never even happened if it weren't for Mythra. Now, some backstory on Mythra, for those of you who don't know or just need a refresher. And plus, I just want an excuse to talk about Mythra, okay? Leave me alone. But we all know Amalthus's bitch ass, when he climbed the world tree, he took Malos and Numa's core crystal, and you know, or Logos and Numa, I guess. And Logos was awakened into Malos, and then Numa was awakened into Mythra. And I was thinking about it earlier. Why was Numa awakened as Mythra and not Numa herself? Like when Adam awakened Mythra, why wasn't it like actually Numa instead of Mythra? Since, you know, Malos doesn't, he has his true form is Malos, you know, Logos' true form is Malos. So, and we already seen Numa in the game, so why didn't Mythra awaken as Numa instead of Mythra herself? It's something I've always wondered, but I don't think that's important. But you know, Malos was awakened by Amalthus's bitch ass, and Mythra was awakened by Adam. And then, you know, Torna story, you know, you know, I keep saying you know so much. I need to stop that. But the story of Torna plays out, and then at the end, the whole Aegis War happened, and you know, there I go again. Malos and Mythra are fighting, and Mythra, you know, goes out of control using her power, and she ends up killing 3 Titans and also ends up killing Milton. Like, she just went all buck wild, no control, just let all of her power just go. She just went wild, and she ended up causing a lot of casualties. And then once Mythra actually, you know, found out, you know, she saw the damage she had caused, she had a mental breakdown, and she created Pyra as like an alternate version, like personality of herself, in order to like seal herself away, and so Mythra can seal herself away as to not use that power ever again and, you know, cause mass destruction like she did in Torna 500 years before the events of Xenoblade 2. After that, Adam takes now Pyra and seals her away in the bottom of the ship that we find her in Xenoblade 2. And in Xenoblade 2, we find out that the reason why Pyra and ultimately Mythra wanted to go to the world tree in the first place was to ask Klaus to die. They literally wanted to go up to the world tree and ask Klaus, you know, the architect, basically off them. They wanted to die because of all the damage and destruction Mythra caused 500 years ago in the Aegis War. And this will make a lot of sense in a minute. Now, getting on to the actual like spoilers for Xenoblade 3. If you're still here and you don't want to be spoiled for Xenoblade 3, I'm telling you now, this, you know, I'm about to show the cutscene and everything. So if you don't want to be spoiled, please don't continue watching on from this point. However, here in this cutscene, we can see what actually happened to the Araya Titan, and it wasn't cut in half, or like, you know, cut down the middle with the giant Mechanosaur like everybody thought. It was actually exploded. There's like a huge explosion in the Araya Titan that caused that massive hole, and the cutscene after that also shows that same explosion thing happening somewhere else in Ionios. But if you notice, before the actual explosion, or like after the explosion, we can see this like green emerald colored light followed by some like purple electricity type stuff. Now, you know, Mythra is typically synonymous with her green emerald light, with like Siren and even her sword, the core crystal, her just overall color. Mythra is associated with that green emerald light. So perhaps Mythra is the reason like all these explosions are happening, and she's the one setting off all of these explosions. Now you may ask why, and maybe Mythra is infected by like that red eye virus that we saw Ethel and Isurd infected by, and she could be, you know, being controlled possibly by the console. And even Mythra could be a console member herself, because like I said, after the green, you know, light or emerald light, after the explosions, we see like that purplish like electricity particle type thing that are typically associated with the consoles, like when they transform into Mobis and whatever. Now this would be pretty sound if it weren't for the fact that in this cutscene right here, when we see the Mobis controlling the Pharaonis, and yes, the console themselves can control the Pharaonis. So when this Mobis right here is like draining all of the people of their soul flame, I'm pretty sure like the particles, you know, like those red particles going up, I think they're called soul flame. When you play the flute and return their bodies to the ether, I think those particles are called soul flame, and if they're not, please correct me, but I'm just gonna call them soul flame from now on. When we see the Mobis, you know, guiding the soul flame into the Pharaonis, right here in this little beam, we can also see that green like emerald colored light, and that's from the console member controlling the Pharaonis. So maybe that emerald light is associated with the console member, and this, or the console as a whole. And this is why I think Mythra is actually important and part of the console, because she's typically associated with that emerald light. And the whole story of Xenoblade 3 could also be surrounded by Mythra, and it hasn't been confirmed, but you know, the party and everyone in Ionios are basically clones, and we see a couple shots in the trailers of, you know, these weird like incubator pods with like clones of people, and just these dozens and dozens and dozens of pods with people in them. It's almost like they're cloning and growing people, because how else would you have so many people, you know, to fight in these wars? Hundreds of people that die in this war between Kevis and Agnes almost daily. There's no way in hell you're gonna, you know, have enough people to fight this war continuously for over 10 years like everyone's term is, unless, you know, you're creating more people. AKA Evil Noah, okay? Evil Noah, as I like to call him, that weird Noah looking guy in the console, and his name is N, which, come on Monopon, y'all can't do that. Alright, you're almost giving it to us, alright? His name is N, he looks like Noah. Obviously he's related to Noah somehow. And you know, I heard a really cool theory that the Noah in our party is a clone, and the real Noah is that evil Noah in the console, you know, N. So that was really cool, and it kind of supports my theory that I'm about to, you know, tell you right now. But the cloning, like the cloning everybody, I think they're actually using Mythra as like a device in order to use like this cloning technology. So you know, in Xenoblade and you know Xenogears and Xenosaga, the Zohar is very important to the whole series. And you know, the Zohar is kind of like a limitless source of energy that, you know, everyone uses for everything. And like the whole overall story of Xeno is connected to the Zohar. Now, in Xenoblade 3, the console or whoever the third nation is, yes, I still think there's a third nation or like third higher power over Kevis and Agnes, which is probably the console. Or there might even be someone above them. I'm telling you, it's Alvis, bro. I'm telling you, it's Alvis. But there could be some third higher power that's using Mythra like a Zohar in order to clone all of these people. And Mythra has cloning capabilities, as we know, with how she created Pyra. She literally created Pyra as like an alternate shell of herself. And you may be thinking, I mean, not really, since they're the same person, she can kind of just switch back and forth. Yes, but also no. Her and Pyra are two separate entities. Like, they both have their own separate consciousness and everything. Pyra and Mythra are two different beings, and they can just swap between each other. Pyra thinks on her own, Mythra thinks on her own. They're two different people. And we know this because at the end of Xenoblade 2, after the whole party escapes the World Tree and Numa basically saves everybody, after Klaus and the Zohar disappear, Rex has Aegis Core and it starts glowing, and then out pops Pyra and Mythra together. Like, he reawakens, like resonates with Pyra and Mythra, or like the Aegis Core, Pyra and Mythra right there, both like standing next to each other as separate beings. So Mythra basically cloned herself in a way, and I guess the console or whoever, Alvis, could be using Mythra to clone other people. Now, I don't know how that would work if they're using Mythra to clone other people, since Mythra cloned herself. I don't really know how she could clone other people, but then again, they could be using Mythra, or they could be like getting to the Zohar through Mythra. So using the Zohar's power through Mythra, because Mythra is connected to the Trinity processor, which is connected to the Zohar. But if you remember, at the end of Xenoblade 2, the Trinity processor along with the Zohar disappear, along with Klaus. So, and Mythra draws her power from the Trinity processor, which draws its power from the Zohar. And since both of those are gone, Mythra's power will be severely limited. So I don't know if she's still able to use the power of the Zohar, even though it's in some different dimension, and she's like still like multi-dimensionally connected to the Zohar, and she's still using it through like whatever dimension, you know, it's still in, or like if she still even has contact with the Zohar. But who's to say, okay, who's to say that the Zohar isn't in the Xenoblade 3 world? Because we know the Xenoblade 3 is the combined worlds of Xenoblade 1 and 2. It's basically reforming it back to its true self. We know in Xenoblade 1, or in Xenoblade 2, Klaus used the Zohar. Little side note, this whole video I've been calling it the Zohar, when a lot of you may know as the Conduit. In Xenoblade 2 it's known as the Conduit. In Xenosaga and even Xenogears, it's basically identical. There's basically a conduit in Xenogears and Xenosaga, but it's called the Zohar in those games. And I prefer to just call it the Zohar for Xenoblade more so because it just kind of keeps everything simple, and it's kind of just, you know, a little homage to those two. So whenever you hear me say the Zohar, I'm talking about the Conduit, because they're essentially the exact same thing, just, you know, different IPs. But Klaus used the Zohar to reset the universe, and we know when he did that, it sent like everything scattering into multiple different dimensions, and it broke the Xenoblade 2 world into multiple dimensions. And we know that half of Klaus's body and Galea got sent into an alternate pocket dimension, which became the Xenoblade 1 world, where half of Klaus became Zanza and Galea became Maneth. Now at the end of Xenoblade 1, after Shulk and party beat Zanza, alongside Rex and party beating Malos in Xenoblade 2, when Zanza dies, Klaus and the Zohar disappear from Xenoblade 2. When Zanza dies in Xenoblade 1, they happen at the exact same time. So right before Klaus dies, you know, he gave us one last gift. We don't know what that is, like exactly what it is, but he cleared the Cloud Sea and revealed that the real Elysium has been under the Cloud Sea the entire time. And in Xenoblade 1, after Shulk kills Zanza, Elvis asks, you know, since Shulk is a god, what he wants to do with the world, and Shulk decides to basically reset the universe and make a brand new world with no need for gods. And at the end, we can see Shulk and Elvis overlooking like the ocean with like a giant landmass in the distance. And in Xenoblade 2, after we find the real Elysium through the Cloud Sea, we're flying over a giant ocean looking out at, you know, a giant landmass where all the Titans converge at. And when Shulk or Elvis recreated the Xenoblade 1 universe, he could have merged the Xenoblade 1 universe back with the Xenoblade 2 universe, along with Klaus. Like Klaus opened up the Cloud Sea and revealed the real Elysium. At the same time, Elvis working with Klaus could have like brought it all back together into one universe, so that landmass we see at the end of Xenoblade 1 and 2 is a combined landmass, aka Ionios, we see in Xenoblade 3 when the two worlds converge back together, and that would explain why Araya and the Makana sword are both there. So I completely forgot. Okay, yeah, I just explained all that, but I forgot how this has to do with Mythra. Yeah, but they could be using Mythra's power like through the Zohar. Oh yeah, I was saying, who's to say the Zohar isn't here in, you know, Xenoblade 3? Since it left when Klaus died, it could have like left that dimension of Xenoblade 2 and then came back into the conjoined dimension of 1 and 2. So maybe the Zohar is in Xenoblade 3 and they're using Mythra's power through, or they're using the Zohar's power through Mythra to clone all of these people. And Mythra has, you know, the red eye virus, which I think means that that person is under control of the console, because the console is after, you know, the party, because, you know, they can turn into Ouroboros now due to Van Damme's weird like Ouroboros button thing machine that he was carrying. And Van Damme's the reason why the party can even turn into Ouroboros in the first place. Remember, he pressed that button and it sent out like a giant shockwave that gave everyone the power of Ouroboros. So now that the party can turn into Ouroboroses, Ouroborai? I don't know what the hell the plural is. Since everyone can turn into Ouroboroses, Kevis and Agnes are both after the party, because they realize the power of the Ouroboros is very dangerous and can lead to the destruction of the world, as Melia tells us. And I actually think that Melia and Nia are also controlled by the Red Eye virus. So the console is controlling Mythra along with Nia and Melia. And the reason the queens, Nia and Melia, are even wearing the masks is to cover their faces and hide the Red Eye virus. For what reason they need to hide it, I think it's more so of like a gameplay thing and like a trailer thing, you know, kind of like cover their faces and put us in suspense from the first trailer instead of just straight up showing their faces. I'm sure it'll have a story significance as to why they're wearing the masks, but I think it was more so just for like the suspense, I guess. Even though we clearly know who both of them are. You know, we don't need to see their face to know that's Melia and Nia. We can hear it in the voices and just the designs. And you know, Kevis, Melly, Agnes, Nia, Xenoblade 1, 2 is kind of a given. But perhaps along with Ethel and Iserd, maybe Melia and Nia, along with Mythra, are all controlled by the Red Eye virus, which is controlled by the console. Maybe even Evil Noah controls all of them. And that's the reason why Mythra is going around destroying everything. And like Mythra could be the one creating the explosions like you saw in the trailer, or that cutscene I showed you earlier. That could be Mythra, and the purple like console lightning could you know stand for Mythra being part of the console. So the green emerald light along with the electricity could easily be explained as Mythra. And it kind of makes sense that Melia and Nia would be controlled by that Red Eye console virus thing, because Ethel and Iserd are controlled by it, and we know that Iserd, at least for Iserd, it works very close with Nia. He's kind of like her like second consort. I don't know all of these like royal terminologies and shit. It is confusing, but like he's like right under her, like her, you know, right hand man or some whatever like the royal term is. Y'all know what I mean. Like he works directly under her. He is her closest like subordinate, I guess. And I think Ethel is the same for Melia. Maybe it'd be Tyrea, and maybe Tyrea is in Xenoblade 3 all along, like I've been wanting for months now. But yeah, since Iserd works so close with Nia, and possibly Ethel works so close with Melia, who's to say that Melia and Nia wouldn't also have the Red Eye console virus? But let's say if the Zohar is here, or even if it isn't, and Mythra can still use her power even through the Zohar, even if it's not there, the console somehow would have found a way to use Mythra's power to clone everybody, and that's how they have enough soldiers to continue fighting in this war to fill up the flame clocks. Now, I know I said a whole lot of nothing in this video, alright? I didn't really plan this out. I kind of just went off top and what I was thinking and how everything could fit together. Obviously this isn't like a solid, coherent, like, yeah, this is confirmed Mythra's in the game, but it's like, you know, a nice little thing for you to think about. Like, huh, it may kind of seem more possible than, you know, you think. Oh, and I didn't even explain how, you know, Xenoblade 2 and kind of Torna would have never happened if it weren't for Mythra. The whole reason Xenoblade 2 happened, or at least the way it did, was Rex found Pyra in the bottom of the ship, and then she told him, hey, let's go to Elysium. And the real reason she wanted to go to Elysium was to ask Klaus to let her die, because I don't think it's ever explicitly stated why they wanted to die, but I think it's because of, you know, Mythra and her power, and how she used her power and basically caused all the destruction she did back in Torna, and she didn't want that to happen ever again, so she wanted to basically die. Now, all of that would have never happened if Rex never met Pyra. Rex would have never met Pyra if Mythra didn't, you know, make Pyra. Mythra never would have made Pyra if she never, you know, destroyed everything like she did. And Mythra would have never destroyed everything like she did if she was never awakened. And she never would have been awakened if it wasn't for Amalthus's bitch ass climbing up the world tree and stealing the damn core crystal, or the Aegis cores. And you know, Amalthus's bitch ass would have never have climbed up the world tree and stole the core crystal if someone had just murked his ass, alright? If someone had just killed Amalthus, nothing would have... nothing, you know, the whole Xenoblade 2 story never would have happened. Mythra would have never had to cause that destruction in the Aegis War against Malos, because Malos would have never been awakened either. There would be no Aegis War. Mythra would never have had to, you know, have a breakdown and create Pyra. Rex would have never met Pyra. Pyra never would have wanted to go to the World Tree. Rex wouldn't have taken her to the World Tree. Malos and Torna wouldn't have been able to be there to stop Rex and Pyra from going to the World Tree when that wouldn't be happening anyway. Jin wouldn't have had to fucking die, okay? Nothing would have happened if it weren't for Amalthus's bitch ass stealing the Aegis cores. I know it's about Mythra, this video is about Mythra, but god damn it, I can't stand Amalthus, alright? I hate this motherfucker with every morsel in my body. I can't stand Amalthus. Nobody would have had to die. Alright, Hayes would have never have had to die. Jin would have never have had to die. Petroka, Akos, Mikhail, Malos, none of that. Nobody would have had to die if it wasn't for Amalthus's bitch ass stealing the Aegis cores. I can't stand him. I hate him. But if Mythra never used her power like she did at the end of Torna, nothing in Xenoblade 2 would have happened the way it did. Or at least, or you know, if at all, because Rex would still just be some regular old salvager. Nia would still be a flesh eater and everything going on with her story. But other than that, you know, and to an extent maybe Xenoblade 3 would have never happened because Klaus would have never died and disappeared with the Zohar. Because, well, maybe he would have, because Shulk and the party still would have killed Zanza, and then maybe he would have disappeared then. But Mythra would never be, you know, anywhere. Mythra wouldn't exist because she'd still be the Aegis core. Her and Malos and then Elvis would still be over in Xenoblade 1. But her and Malos never would have been awakened, which means if the console is using Mythra's power to clone people, then, you know, everybody in Xenoblade 3 would be fucking dead because they wouldn't be able to clone anybody using Mythra's power, and Ionios would just be a barren wasteland with nobody because everybody would have died either from fighting in the war or their terms running out and their flame clocks, you know, running dry and everyone just dying. So this may be a very, very, very far reach, and I know it sounds like that. Okay, maybe Mythra is in Xenoblade 3, but it doesn't happen at all how I just explained it. That's I mean, I guess that's just kind of how I'd want to see how. I mean, it'd be cool to see that like Mythra was the whole reason why. Maybe Mythra's the whole reason why the war is even happening in the first place, because if they can't clone people, they won't really have enough people to fight in the war, and once everyone's dead, you have no one else to fight in the war, which means you can't fill the flame clocks, which mean everyone else dies who wasn't fighting in the war, because how the hell are you supposed to fill the flame clock if you don't have anyone to fight? So everyone would just die anyway. So I don't know, I think it's just a really cool idea that the console or someone is using Mythra's power, you know, using Mythra to get to the Zohar, like use the Zohar's power through Mythra, or even Mythra herself if she can clone other people, because again, she's an Aegis. Aegises can do special things that no one else can, so who knows the limits to an Aegis core. Alright, fucking Alvis basically recreated the whole like entirety of the Xenoblade 1 universe, like reset it. So who's to say an Aegis can't simply just clone people? So I don't know, it's just a cool little theory I had as to how Mythra could come back in Xenoblade 2 or 3, and it'd be cool to see it turn out the way I explained it. Well, as a basic recap, Mythra is, now I'm gonna be talking like it's specifically what it is and like it's confirmed, but what I'm about to say is not hasn't been confirmed. I'm just saying this is how it would be cool to see it like this if this did happen. So Mythra is the reason why Araya has that big ass hole. Now what is confirmed is, why Araya has that big ass hole is because that explosion. But Mythra is the reason that explosion happened, because she is being controlled by the console. Why she was making all these explosions and destroying everything, we don't know yet. But the console is using Mythra to do that for whatever reason, and they're using her, using Mythra's power to basically clone everybody, to have enough people to keep the war going and filling, perpetually filling the Pharaoh's flame clocks. And Mythra, along with Nia and Melia, are in, under control of that red eye virus, which seems to be controlled by the console, since we saw Evil Noah and the other members of the console have that, at least Evil Noah has that infinity symbol in his eye, and all the other console members have that infinity symbol. We still don't know what that means, but obviously these motherfuckers are up to some shit. I don't know what it is, but they're up to something. All right. And Evil Noah, this man's all right. Keep a close eye on this man, because he's different. But basically Mythra is being controlled by the console to cause those explosions, and using her power to clone everybody, basically to keep to make sure you have enough people to continue fighting this war. But yeah, I don't know where the hell I came up with this shit. All right, I was just at work. I was like, see, at first this video, I thought, I saw that cutscene. I was like, okay, that light kind of reminds me of Mythra, and that's all the video was going to be based on, was like that short little cutscene of those explosions with that emerald light. I was like, I was going to make the video based on that, and that, that was just going to be it. There was not much evidence except for that. And then I went on this whole tirade and theory about, oh, what if this is why Mythra's in the game? This is how Mythra's important to the story. The console are using Mythra's power to clone everybody. Like, I don't know how I came up with that shit. Alright, I was just at work earlier. I was bored as hell because there wasn't really much to do. So, I started thinking about Mythra. No surprise. And I came up with this shit. I don't know how, but here the fuck we are. So, this is probably nowhere near at all what happens in Xenoblade 3, and Mythra couldn't even be in the game at all. But Mythra plays a very, very large role in Xenoblade 2 and Torna, and basically the whole Xenoblade series as a whole. Mythra is a very important part of the overall Xenoblade story. So I wouldn't be surprised if Mythra actually is in this game. I really hope she is. I really want to see Mythra in this game. If not in base game, then it has to be guaranteed. She has to be in that new story scenario that we're getting at the end of next year. But I'm telling you, Mythra is going to be in this game somehow. Whether she's good or bad, she's going to be in this game along with Elvis. Alright, I've been saying Elvis is in this game since February when we first got the first trailer. So Elvis better be in this goddamn game. Alright, I didn't hype him up and talk up all this shit about him being in Xenoblade 3 just for him not to be there. Alright, I know Taka Hashbrown's listening, and he's gonna take Elvis out of the game just because I want him in there. Him and Mythra, alright? See what he does to me, bro? But, in all seriousness, I think, at least, it's more so hope than actually believe that Mythra is going to be in Xenoblade 3. Not at all how I explained, how I explained that she's going to be, but I really do hope Mythra does return in Xenoblade 3, because I like Mythra a lot, and she's top 3, one of my favorite, top 3 favorite blades in Xenoblade 2 anyway. So I really like Mythra, and I want to see her in Xenoblade 3. But yeah, whether or not y'all want to believe this, insane ass stories up to y'all because this makes no sense, but it makes a lot of sense at the same time if you really think about it. And like the story of Xenoblade 3, shit, this may be exactly how Mythra is in the game, and I may be the biggest prophet of the damn century. All right, prophet of the century, Paragon of Torna. Nah, fuck that. Paragon of like clairvoyance. Okay. Holy shit. But yeah, that's really it for this video. Kind of just wanted to make this cool little theory video. It's a lot more than I thought it would be, and like I'm so hyped right now about this shit. God damn, I love talking about Xenoblade because then I get like this, I get super hype and just really into it. Like I'm so damn passionate about Xenoblade, and it's fucking great. Alright, because then y'all get videos like this out of it. So I know some of y'all are going to be laughing y'all asses off about how stupid this is, but you know what, it's okay because I am too. Yeah, that's really about it for this video. So as always, thanks for watching. Have a good day. Stay safe. You out and play some goddamn Xenoblade.